I've always sort of half jokingly, but also seriously talked about the ways that the David Pakman show could end and people canceling all their memberships or everybody stops watching. Those are sort of real ways in which the David Pakman show could end. But over the last few days, something has potentially started to happen that is not something that most independent shows and YouTubers like us were really worried about, starting with some major YouTubers like Philip DeFranco and the Young Turks, but starting to trickle down to some smaller channels as well who maybe haven't gone public with this yet, so I won't mention them. YouTube has started sending out some notifications that some of their content has been unmonetized, and I'll sort of explain how this works. So when we upload a clip to YouTube, by default, ads play before the clip, and that's how we make money. Individually, if clips are marked as having content that is not, I guess you would call it family friendly or widely community acceptable, the clip can be marked as age restricted, and thus monetization is removed from it. You still have the video on YouTube, people can see it, people can comment, but no ads run, and thus the publisher doesn't make any money. What has started happening, and we will put up a piece of the notice that people have been getting, is some YouTubers have been getting a message saying controversial or sensitive subjects and events, including subjects related to war, political conflicts, natural disasters, and tragedies, even if graphic imagery is not shown, may make it so that your video is not approved for monetization. Further, if monetization is approved, your video may not be eligible for all available ad formats. YouTube reserves the right not to monetize a video, as well as suspend monetization features on channels that repeatedly submit videos violating our policies. So the initial reaction is, wow, YouTube is basically handpicking a lot of the issues that independent news channels talk about. And they're saying, even if you don't show graphic pictures, even if I talk about a war without showing images from the war, that could make it so that we are not allowed to earn any revenue on that video. We have a 12,000 video archive on YouTube. If 10, 20, 30% of our videos stop earning ad revenue, we're absolutely in a tough spot. One conversation that has come up is that of censorship, which is, listen, look at the timing. We're leading up to an election. We're leading up to an election in a time when independent media is offering viewpoints you don't usually get. It's offering perspectives you don't usually get. And it's being driven by ad revenue through this mechanism. And out comes YouTube and they say, hey, you know what? Even if you're talking about tragedies, even if you're not showing any images, might not make money on that video. That is one side of this. The other side is that YouTube has actually commented on this. And YouTube has officially said that there has not actually been any policy change whatsoever and no change to the enforcement of the policy. Rather, that the notification system has changed. And now when a video of yours is flagged as being inappropriate for monetization, you are merely notified by YouTube in a way that is different, and it is confusing some individuals. I don't know about that because I was talking with some of my friends at other shows and they said, no, listen, 200 of our videos were unmonetized overnight. It's not a question of before we weren't getting notifications and now we are. Before, all the videos were monetized and now all the videos are not. So to date, as I've spoken about with Rachel and Jason, our channel has not been hit by this, and we will see ultimately what happens. I am hoping that this is a misunderstanding. However, my concern is that Philip DeFranco, a huge YouTuber, actually said that he or one of his staff spoke to someone at YouTube and that they seem to say, yeah, we are going to more aggressively police this now, and too bad. So speculation is rampant. Is this to appease really big advertisers who don't want to have their ads play on anything that is even remotely adult? Are we basically saying the only way to earn money on YouTube is if you're doing makeup tutorials and content for little kids? We don't know yet, but at least when you're talking about free speech, and I don't mean that in the government sense, but I mean that in the ability of having a wide variety of viewpoints represented, but also being able to be compensated in a way that is similar to that of government media, corporate media, etc. This is very scary, as I think you guys can understand, for many people that are doing independent shows like ours.
Well, this has also kind of been a problem for Twitter and Facebook in terms of how they regulate hate speech and what constitutes hate speech. And so I kind of think it's an interesting topic to think about in terms of this narrative of time and again, violence and crime that we're seeing every single day in the news. So I think it's difficult because you have to look at, okay, how are we going to filter this in a way that we are not kind of putting forth really graphic and inappropriate images, but how are we also allowing people to open up a very important discussion and kind of have that discourse?
And the difference being, of course, that when we're talking about someone being banned on Twitter, like Milo Yiannopoulos, which we covered because they were inciting harassment or whatever, or whether we're talking about Facebook or YouTube, these are all companies which can set community guidelines. They can enforce them. No one is making the argument that they are doing anything illegal by this, but we are talking about, depending on what this shakes out to be, and I still am hopeful that the comment we got from YouTube is right and that this is not a change to the policy, merely a change to the notifications around this policy. We are talking about something that, if we learned was tied to the influence of big corporations, would not be surprising. If we learned it was tied to the idea of suppressing certain viewpoints, it would not be surprising. But hopefully, Jason, this is all a clip that we will do once and never have to speak of again. That's my hope.
Yeah, so am I. Very hopeful, but at the same time, somewhat, how do I say, scared, I guess.
Disturbed.
Disturbed, yeah, that's a great word. Because what could happen here is YouTube, they could put the wrong person in the wrong chair to be there monitoring all these videos and say, oh, democratic agenda, oh, well, let's do away with that. And it's, basically ruining our freedom of speech. And interestingly enough, I know YouTube and Google has been banned from China, whereas I think, I might be right there, I'm pretty sure I am, but because of the fact that they were letting people post and talk about whatever they want, and the Chinese government wants complete control of it. Is that what's next here?
Well, I don't think it is. I mean, I think that would be a horrific slippery slope. Nobody is even suggesting that there's going to be any limit placed on what videos can be uploaded to YouTube beyond the limits that already exist. You can't upload porn to YouTube. You can't upload incredibly violent gore type of stuff. But I'm not seeing that. This is much more subtle, which is, even discussions of certain controversies, you can do them, but you're not going to make any money off of them. So as a YouTuber who depends on YouTube revenue, now you have to make decisions based on, well, can I even make money by telling this story? Very, very bad. And we can all sort of imagine the direction it will go. We will keep you apprised as to what goes on. And we have such a great show for you coming up today as well.